Welcome back. Well, we're here with Lucas, nice to see you. Our environmental officer, Claire's back, Chief Operating Officer in the UK, and Amali, MD Microsoft for Startups in the UK. Thank you very much for joining us all.
Pleasure.
So you've just come off the keynote stage, hot-footed it across.
I have.
So, yes, indeed. So talking about, obviously, the environmental impact of AI. So what is it about AI well, your talk was around a climate-stable future.
Yeah.
How has it got such power in that space?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you look at the scope and the scale of the environmental challenges that we have to get ahead of as a global society, you've got to be looking at solutions that have the potential to operate at that same scope and scale. That's why my attention and so much of the world's attention is immediately drawn to both technology in general and artificial intelligence in particular, because the opportunity for a few lines of code to fundamentally change the way that we monitor, model, and then ultimately manage Earth's natural systems is potentially transformative, and we fundamentally need to transform the way society operates if we are to get ahead of some of these environmental challenges.
Got it, fantastic. Now, Claire, so environmental sustainability isn't the only thing we do around responsibility and AI. Do you want to outline some of the other things that Microsoft's up to in that space?
Yeah, no, definitely. So it was amazing to have Lucas here on keynote, and hopefully gives a sense to the audience here today about the importance of the environment side. But you're right, it isn't the only one. We obviously have, as part of AI for Good, we have the accessibility side, we have environment, we have humanitarian aid, and then we also have cultural heritage as part of the 4 pillars. And we're obviously excited to announce some of the cohort work, so I'm sure we'll come on to that later.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, Amali, so Microsoft for Startups, so really helping people get up to speed and skilled in this. What kind of challenges do organizations face in this field to get up to speed with AI?
I would say sort of 3 main buckets, and one is around how do you build these technologies, and thinking about, I guess, how we support companies with that. We have some of the world's leading experts in AI. So if you're thinking about who do you go to get the best information about how to build these products and services, can you actually sit down with these people and bounce ideas? That's a fantastic opportunity for companies to be able to join us in that. We're obviously supporting people with building on Azure. So really thinking about how you build something to grow. So how do you actually take that global? How do you grow with your business? And then also thinking about both the impact of those technologies and also the way that those technologies are fit for purpose. Right. So again, pulling our expertise as far as people who are building these technologies, can we help these organizations to really think about some of those slightly complicated issues in some cases around why these things are being created, and then think about how do you actually have an impact on society and make a difference in the way that you would hope to.
Brilliant, fantastic, thank you. So, Heather's got a flats on and has hot-footed it down to the expo. Let's see if this works. So she's with 3 of last year's UK cohort for AI for Good to learn a little bit more about what their experience was like. You're on.
Hi, thanks, Carlo. And as you can see, I'm down here in a very busy expo hall. And I'm here with 3 of last year's cohorts, Dr. Isabel, Nick and Richard. Thank you very much for joining me. So if I can turn to you first, Dr. Isabel. So can you tell us a little bit about immersive rehab and the work that you do?
Yes, we are transforming neurorehabilitation with immersive rehab. So we are using virtual reality to do that. So actually the aim is to improve mobility for patients that have neurological conditions, improve patient outcomes and reduce referral times, for example, and long waiting times that currently people that have suffered a stroke deal with on a daily basis. And so really the aim is to help people to engage with objects very early on, where now often the tools that physios have, they're very limited. And the reason is then that when people leave the hospital, they hardly have any upper limb mobility left. So that means that they don't have any independence really to deal with their life at home. And that's really what we want to change. And that's really our mission, to change that using interactive programs in virtual reality.
Yeah, so I actually watched a video about it, and it was really amazing to see how AI is helping you provide the kind of optimal, effective treatment.
So we are using machine learning, artificial intelligence, to make sure that we can personalize the experiences to the patients, because every condition is different. So stroke is different. Different stroke patients have different conditions, different injuries, for example. So we want to make sure that the programs that they go through are actually adapted to how a patient is evolving as well. And that's where machine learning comes in. Because then the system can learn from how a patient is evolving. We track mobility, we track, for example, response time, and we can really optimize and personalize the programs to the patient, where now essentially a physio, or they don't have the means, so they would often just give standard exercises for everyone in the same group of treatments. So that's really where machine learning comes in. And then in terms of assessments as well, we can really help make assessments much more objective, where now it's often very scale-based, which makes it very hard for therapists to then assess and change treatments, for example, for patients.
It's fantastic to see the work. It's really great. And if I can turn to you now, please, Nick. So can you tell us a little bit about EV Energy?
Yeah, so EV Energy is a smart charging platform for electric vehicles. What we do is we help customers to charge with very cheap, very green energy, and do it in a very simple way for consumers. So we deliver an app that connects to electric vehicles and to charge points using a communication platform. And then we bring that back to an optimization platform that optimizes electric vehicle charging by reading what's going on in the electricity grid, understanding when there's renewable energy available, when it's the best time for the grid, and when it's the cheapest time for consumers to charge their vehicles.
Okay, and how has Microsoft Technologies helped you deliver that in your organization?
So it's through the whole program that we've been working through with AI for Good. And what it's really helped us uncover is both the consumer value, so how we actually deliver value back to our customers. So building a platform that's robust, scalable, that connects to all of our remote devices, and then processes that information and uses AI to do that. And then also, by working with the Social Tech Trust, for example, through the AI for Good program, we've really unlocked what our social mission is in terms of actually helping consumers to drive more zero carbon energy into their electric vehicle and marrying those two together.
And how has your experience been with the program?
Oh, it's been fantastic. Yeah, it's been fantastic. The whole program has really transformed our business. We started the program with a few members of staff, a sort of prototype platform, and at the end of the platform, we've got multiple utility clients all over the world.
Fantastic. And if I can turn to you now, so can you tell us a little bit about Agrimetrics and the work that you do?
So Agrimetrics is a data integrating platform. We're creating infrastructure to allow data to be much more readily available to people who are interested in the agri-food sector, so that the agri-food sector becomes a much more resilient and much more productive sector for all of us, and helps us to feed the vast numbers of people that are going to be on the planet over the next few years.
What is it about AI that makes it so key to sustainable agriculture?
So AI performs a variety of different functions, and in our particular case we use it to identify field boundaries, so that we've got a comprehensive map of all of the fields in the United Kingdom based on satellite data. And we're now using it to identify where particular crops are being grown. And that data becomes available. As it becomes available, it can be started to use for smart pest and disease risk management and all sorts of other uses by other people in the sector.
So I wanted to ask, so for the farmers on the ground in the field who may not have a background in technology and might not be used to using technology, how are you ensuring that your platform is accessible to them so that they can get the great insights that they want from your platform?
So the key thing with farmers and with any decision maker is actually to hide the technology as far away as possible from them. So we want to give very simple messages to farmers. So for example, we have an application which we use or offer to farmers that tells them when the best time to spray is based on the weather conditions and the soil conditions. And they supply that information, we supply a bit of information into that. We have an algorithm that works in the background. And then very simply, there's a red or a green light that says you can spray or you can't spray. And that's how we have to deliver that sort of information to people who are not technical.
Well, it's been really great to talk to all three of you, and it's so great to see AI and our technology impacting people for good. So thank you very much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again. Obviously, you're here all day. Do enjoy the Future Decoded. Thank you.
Right, 3 cracking testimonials there from last year's AI for Good cohort. Delighted to welcome Eve, our UK Responsibility Manager, and Annie from the Social Tech Trust. So you've got a key part to play in this. Can you tell us a bit more about what the Trust does?
Social Tech Trust is one of the UK's leading tech-focused charities. So over the past decade, we've invested over £31 million in over 800 socially transformative initiatives like the amazing AI for Good cohort ventures we've just heard from. So our vision is that social transformation drives tech. And that means creating the conditions for people to consciously and collaboratively come together and decide the change they want to see in the world and innovate to get there. And that ethos, that approach, is absolutely at the heart of the AI for Good cohort, and it's why we're so excited to be working with Microsoft and Microsoft for Startups on this program.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for your partnership. So, Eve, what makes AI such a powerful force to solve some of these environmental and sustainability issues?
So for me, it's looking about the access to the data. There's so much data now that is available to organizations that taking that access and then turning that into insight and actually finding trends within that data, which could have taken organizations years, months in the past, can now take days and can even sometimes be instant. And the way in which that can permeate into society is you think of the NGOs, you think of the charities that can utilize this technology. They can see, especially in sustainability, for instance, how to track different animals or endangered species much quicker than they could do before, so they can then make change and impact the world in a much more real-time way.
Got it, fantastic. Okay, so who is the program open to then? What kind of organizations can apply?
Any purpose-driven venture with a demonstrable commitment to social impact can apply. So you can be a for-profit business, a charity, a social enterprise. As long as you can show us that your pursuit of environmental sustainability, accessibility, humanitarian action, or cultural heritage is driving your AI solution, it's open to you.
Fantastic. Now, there's a partnership at work here. We've obviously discussed the Social Tech Trust. There's the UK business. There's also Microsoft for Startups. So just kind of run us through how all that comes together and how it works.
So we kind of all bring the best of what we have to offer, really, and it's around our time and our resources. So from a Microsoft standpoint, within the UK, we have a number of technologists that are supporting this discussion around artificial intelligence, and we'll be bringing those in to deliver workshops and talks and offer thought leadership in the area of AI. And from the startup team, they're going to be bringing their incredible curriculum that they use already with a number of early stage startups, and it's all around business development, so supporting the organizations in how to talk about their business, how to build their structure, how to go to market, how to pitch to investors. So we're kind of, from those perspectives, we're trying to bring the best of our knowledge to support these organizations.
Yeah, I think there's really strong evidence now across the Tech for Good community that any Tech for Good venture and AI for Good ventures need to create value for their users, first and foremost, value for society, and commercial value to be sustainable, as well as have the tech chops and the team to deliver those. So I think this partnership, as building on what you're saying, really builds, brings in those three strands of value.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's just do the logistics then. So when's the deadline? When are applications open until?
15th of November.
15th of November, and how do people apply?
So you go to aka.ms/cohort 2020. It's ingrained in my mind, so I'm never going to forget it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for coming on to the FD Live Surfer. Thanks for all the work that you do. We really appreciate it. It's so good as well hearing from last year's cohort. Amazing. Enjoy the rest of FD.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.